So around December of last year, shit got crazy. I'm jumping right the fuck in. I literally had found my dream apartment. I'm talking the sunlight, the lighting was perfect in there. I had a big ass fucking room. I had a big ass living room. I was in the perfect city. Like the fixtures, the appliances, the price. Like it was a 10 out of motherfucking 10, okay? And you want to know what happened? Mind you, obviously it took me months to save up for this place. I'm really excited. It took me a while to find it. Whatever. A week into living in this place after I had moved all my shit in, I had went through a lot of shit with my moving company and my roommate and all these things. The fucking pipes bursted. Yep. The pipes bursted. And I didn't find this out until I happened to be coming back from holiday. So I went on holiday. Sorry, sometimes I say on holiday because I don't fucking know. I watch British TV and I used to hang out with foreign people, whatever. I literally was away on Christmas and I had gotten emails that there were pipes bursting in the complex in general, but didn't know that my unit had been affected. So I literally drove back from North Carolina after, the holiday. And it was a 6-hour drive and I had to drive to my old apartment first because there was a few things that I needed to pick up from there first. So mind you, I'm like carrying boxes upstairs into my car, loaded my car the fuck up, okay? Because I still had a good amount of stuff that I needed to get from the old apartment. Then after driving there, I drove another 30 minutes to the new apartment. And what do I walk into? Loud ass fans and a smell of mold and all of my shit in a big ass garbage bag in the center of my living room. Huh? It literally felt like a fucking movie. I was like, this isn't happening. And so that night I had to get a hotel. And it was a couple nights of me staying at the hotel and just paying with my own points because I wasn't getting any correspondence just yet from property management or insurance. Mind you, insurance, I had Lemonade at the time. I wouldn't recommend going with them. But they rectified it, but it took a really long time for things to get rectified and for me to see money back, if you will. It was still enough. It was tenfold, but that was a whole ordeal. But that whole experience was just so interesting to me because right before all of this had happened, I remember kind of, I guess in a way, feeling like I needed something to shake me up to get me back on schedule. And what I mean by that is a year before that, when I was in North Carolina, I feel like I fucking underwent some sort of transformation and it was very serendipitous. But I was experiencing a really severe bout of depression. I was getting off antidepressants and I actually went off them cold turkey, which you're not supposed to do. I could probably do a whole fucking episode about that and actually do some research on the effects, but I know what my experience was and I was really, really fucking sick. So on top of being depressed, I was throwing up daily, if not every other day or every few days, migraines constantly, sharp, severe pains throughout my body, just shooting pains, basically. Not severe pain, shooting pains. What else? The list goes on. I couldn't eat. When I would put food on my tongue or try to swallow it, it would just my body was just we don't want this. So I couldn't eat, but I was throwing up. So when I would throw up, it was literally just stomach lining. My mom thought I had an eating disorder. I was like, no, girl, I don't want to be doing this. I wanted to eat so badly, but I just couldn't. And there was times when, at that time, I still smoked a little bit of weed. I would smoke Delta 8 actually. And so that helped with appetite for a little bit. And then I would grow a tolerance. And then I realized I don't want to smoke weed anymore because it makes me fucking crazy. And either way, I ended up quitting my job because when I was working, I literally was crying every single day. That's another thing. I had insomnia. So I would get 1 hour, if any, sleep at all for the night and just wake up and cry. Because I would just wake up with this heavy ass weight on my chest. I'd have my morning meeting and I was muted because it was a remote job. So I would mute myself, but I would just be crying throughout the meeting, throughout the whole first half of the day. I was like, I can't work like this. So I quit my job and lived off of savings for like 2 or 3 months. Towards the end of those 2 or 3 months, I worked a little bit like doing Instacart and shit, but I really just started throwing myself into all of the things that I love. Now, of course, I was still applying to jobs because I was about to be moving to Atlanta soon. So I was trying to secure something in Atlanta or remote that would pay me significantly more than that initial one job that I had. I was in the textiles industry and I still am. But during that time, I just started doing everything that I had neglected. I started writing music. I started making a lot of content, getting piercings, like doing my hair, like really like taking care of myself in the sense of, I guess you could say, reigniting the things that I used to love and just really putting effort into like my appearance and like my hygiene. Like I let everything go when I was sick and depressed. And I mean everything, to the point where it's embarrassing and I probably shouldn't give details. But in a way, it was like I was dying, and not in a dramatic way, but in like a spiritual way, because it propelled me into like doing the complete opposite. And so little by little, I just started changing. And I remember hearing like comments from people around me, like my peers and my mother, being like, oh, wow, like you look so good. Like it's almost like the kind of reaction that a person who loses weight on accident gets from people. And you're just like, oh, like, thanks. Like, I'm just doing what, I like doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And so by the time I moved to Atlanta, I felt like a new version of myself. I felt rejuvenated. I was fucking happy as shit. Opportunities were falling the fuck into my lap. Like, I felt like all my dreams were like coming true in different ways. And so then as the year, went by, I started feeling like shitty again. Not super depressed, but just like a lull, like a bit of a lull in life. And I feel like I started losing momentum in a way and was getting kind of lazy. And I was like, I feel like I need something to shake me up and humble me again. Because I think that initially in North Carolina, I definitely think I got humbled. I mean, living there, I was friends with like a coworker, a neighbor, but I didn't have any like solid friendships in the sense that like we would speak and hang out regularly. And you know what I mean? Like I could trust them, and we were just never that close, essentially. So I was really fucking lonely. And holidays would go by and I was just alone in my fucking apartment. It was depressing as shit. So that in and of itself brought me down to earth, and it made me, it made me feel shitty about myself until I randomly was like, something sparked in my brain where I was like, I'm tired of being sad and I want to make this a project. And I had been on TikTok a lot, and the whole healing journey stuff was like trending at the time. And I was like, hold on. That's a great idea. Like I can transmute this energy into project form. And I tend to do that when I get depressed. I tend to throw myself into projects because it stimulates me and it allows me to put that energy into something productive, quote unquote. And so that was it. I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing the things that I love. I'm going to start, working on myself. I'm going to start doing therapy. And I tried to do therapy, but that was easier said than done because there's a bunch of fucking hoops to jump through with that, based off of how I think, at least. But anyways, back in Atlanta, I was like, I need something to shake me up again, to get me motivated again, which crazy wish, I know, but I just felt like I needed it. And ironically enough, it definitely happened, but it didn't affect me the same way. I think that it definitely was a character builder for sure, because a lot of it, I handled it on my own for the most part. I had a little bit of help from a couple of friends, and they're fucking amazing. Like, absolutely love those people. Great people, genuine people. But for the most part, I think, it built character in the sense of allowing me to mature and handle things as an adult, Going back home wasn't an option. And so when my pipes burst, I was told that I had to move out in a week. So basically, like I said, I prayed for something to humble me. And then lo and behold, right before I moved out of my initial apartment, my pipes bursted. And so that was my humbling moment. And essentially, I had to be out in 7 days. I had to figure everything out. Thank God I still had money in savings to handle that. Found an apartment, and it is, I love my apartment, like my actual apartment. It's definitely not my dream apartment that I had last time. And I there would be a couple things I would change about like where it's located, but for the most part, I'm fucking happy. I'm definitely much happier than I was a couple of years ago. And I definitely see progress. But I think it's important for people to realize that adversity is healthy. And there's this trend that I keep seeing lately on social media about like living a soft life, which to me, it's a very nuanced concept. I can understand not wanting to be in overly stressful situations constantly, like a toxic relationship or being physically ill or stuff like that, or like just toxic people in general. But this idea of escaping negativity or adversity completely is not only never going to happen, but we don't live in a utopia. And that's not, in my opinion, based off of my beliefs, just from my own personal beliefs, I don't believe that Earth or this human experience is supposed to be a utopia. We're supposed to go through some shit. It grows you, it strengthens you, but you also have to let that happen. I think perspective is another thing to note, but you can, and most people do, choose to look at a lot of things as a woe is me kind of thing. But I heard a quote recently that said, everything is happening for you, not to you. And ever since I've heard that quote, it's been kind of like floating around in my mind, my subconscious, where I'm like, I need to keep reminding myself of that, because choosing victimhood only debilitates you. And as you get older, you need to get stronger to take on the shit that's going to continue to pile up on you as an adult. It doesn't have to be seen as a handicap. If anything, it should be seen as you're holding two different plates, right? And someone keeps adding more and more and more plates. You can either choose to say, oh my God, these fucking plates, or you just realize that you're getting fucking stronger inevitably. You're learning how to balance it. Yes, it's hard every time they add an extra one, but then you level it out, you get stronger, you learn lessons throughout it. You know what I mean? And if anything, at that point, adversity could be seen as a blessing. And you could also, in a way, see that as a soft life if you choose to look at life that way. But the soft life narrative, I think overall, at least the way that it's coming across on social media is, I think that's just kind of stupid, to be honest. But at the same time, I see women saying it, right? Mainly women. And it's not to say that there aren't men that say it too. But when you think about like feminine things and masculine things, one thing that I have noticed and observed is I think that when it comes to masculinity, a lot of men, they do tend to grow and evolve through grit and like tough challenges, right? And it's not to say that women don't, but there's levels to it for us, I think, in terms of making us either more feminine or more masculine. So that's why I say that whole narrative has nuance, because it depends on what you're talking about. When you think about what Black women on average, in at least in America, in our community, go through, I think that we have become emasculated more than we should be, because unfortunately, from decades ago, the whole family dynamic, the government fucked us from the beginning when it comes to that. And so you see a lot of single Black women handling a lot of shit on their own, and it really shouldn't have to be that way. And I do think that it has emasculated a lot of Black women, sadly. And that scenario, it's like, yeah, we need a little softening, okay? We need a little softer of a life, because goddamn, we don't need that much shit on us. But, right, if there was more of a balance within society, us as women would still have our adversity. We'd still have our challenges. We'd still have our things that we need to go through and learn to get stronger and build our character, but not as, severe. And now this is leading me off onto another tangent of like fucking past lives. I'm like, is that where we all just fucking spoiled as shit in our past lives and we needed some more adversity? I don't know, but that's a whole nother tangent. But yeah, I think adversity is healthy. And I think if you choose to make it something that can progress you, it's a superpower, truly. You have to see it as that. It's really easy to sink into victimhood. It's so easy. It really is. It's comfortable to complain. It's comfortable to sit there and just be complacent. It's comfortable to make excuses. But then years go by and you look at your life and you're most likely even more unhappy than you were at the, in the beginning of all of that kind of behavior. And so once you realize that if you choose to transmute, you can probably go a little bit further and be a little bit more content. There's also this concept that I've heard recently when it talks about making uncomfortable decisions now to be comfortable in the future, which I think is also a very powerful statement. I think a lot of people tend to struggle. Well, maybe I'm just speaking about my own shit, but finances are interesting in adulthood, right? It's not just about discretionary at this point. It's about being considerate of the potential assets you may buy, learning about credit, learning about loans, just grown people shit. And it becomes a very harsh reality that you really do inevitably have to make uncomfortable decisions if you see it as that to be comfortable in the future. So for example, putting money or living below your means is so fucking key. And it's something that kind of I won't say it just recently started to resonate with me, because I have been capable of saving a ton of money before, but it's hitting me different now. And I think that for a while I was a little bit reckless with spending. And I think that stemmed from some sort of stimulation disorder that I have. I think I have ADHD, and I think that it exhibits itself in different forms as well as other mental shit. And so I'm seeing the beauty of making those uncomfortable decisions, but I'm also seeing how, once again, you can also use that same concept of transmuting that energy into something else with this. Like when it comes to, I feel like I got to spend. I feel like I got to smoke, putting that energy into something productive instead. And that's even more beautiful, because then you really can, reap the benefits of your labor, because you're going hard in that, you know what I mean? And then you're also not doing anything at all, or doing a healthy amount with the other activities that aren't so good for you. It might be reckless, and you improve. So this episode is short. I just wanted to say my spiel. I recorded this on my phone today because I just couldn't be bothered to do it on my fucking mic. I just don't care. I'm sure there'll be more episodes to come, but I also just kind of wanted to add it. I've dropped hella fucking music. That's another thing that I am excited about. The EP that I'm dropping soon, I wrote all of those songs back when I was in NC during my depressive episode, and holy fucking hell, it has taken me way too fucking long to release this music, because a lot of shit has been on hold, or life just got topsy-turvy, but I'm finally at the finish line, and I'm fucking happy about it. I released a bunch of singles too that I honestly didn't want to release because they weren't to my standards, but then I was just like, fuck it, they're not terrible, like, just release it. And I think I'm finally getting over that hump of being like a perfectionist. I'm just like, girl, release that shit. Like, just fucking release it. Like, do it as you go. And I'm so fucking happy lately, I've noticed. Like, even though not a lot of people have listened to my music at all, just the fact that I did it, it's such a like personal goal of mine that I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so fucking proud of myself for doing that shit finally, whether anyone's there to validate me or not. And that's another thing that I'm trying to get to, or a point that I'm trying to get to, is not necessarily like craving or seeking this validation. It's like, fuck it. You did it. And the right people will come. I'm becoming less inclined to send music to all my friends. Like, I've sent it to a few, don't get me wrong. But when I tell you, like, I used to send my music to everyone in my phone, whereas now I'm just like, this person might enjoy it, I'll send it to them. But for the most part, I don't really send it, because I'm also realizing with social media now, you really can cultivate your own audience. And I've always known that strangers are going to be more supportive. I don't even want to put my friends in that position, to be honest with you, to where they feel like they have to respond or they have to listen, and it's awkward for them. I'm like, fuck it. I'm not going to shove anything down your throat. I'm just going to post my shit, and the right people are going to come. I think the majority of my followers on my personal page are people that like kind of know of me, or kind of knew me in college or younger. And to be quite honest, I really wish I could just swipe them all out with a bunch of new people that I'm actually like, it's a community of like a big ass parasocial community. Like, Nobody that knows me in person, nobody that knows anything in my personal life that I haven't released online. Like, no weird judgment or ridicule. Just, and granted, it's not going to be perfect. Of course, there's going to be like a little bit of hate, but I want it to be like predominantly, I don't even want to say predominantly women, but just like a mix of like healthy minded ass people and like cool, weird people and intellectuals that like get me. People that I would resonate with in real life type shit. I think a lot of my following is guys that I just really, if I'm being completely honest, I don't want them there. I don't want your thirsty ass comments. I don't want your DMs of hard eyes, which I don't get as much anymore, thank God. But I fucking hate that shit if I'm being straight up. I'm just at an age where I'm like disgusted by that kind of stuff. If you're DMing me 9 times out of 10 times out of 10, I'm not going to want to be with you anyway because you're DMing me in the first place, which means you're DMing other people. That's just not my thing. I would rather meet you in person in an organic way, and I want my social media to be intentional for business purpose only. I started a new music page recently on like Instagram, and I was following people to cultivate a following, and I was following people that followed other artists that are similar to me, or like podcasts or just things that I'm interested in. And this one guy like DM'd me, and he's like, at first he was flirting, and I was like, I use this intentionally for business. And he was just like continuing to flirt, being like, well, I really like your music if it's sung by you, and just like weird ass shit. And I'm like, when I tell you I blocked him so fast, because I'm like, I just fucking told you that I'm using this for business. Like, I'm at the point now where I don't mean to sound angry, but it's almost like I look at that as them as kids. Like, even if they are grown, I'm like, can you fucking leave? Like, I just answered this question. I just told you what it is. Let's grow up and treat things like business for once. You know what I mean? Let's use these things with intention to further ourselves at the ages that we are. I don't know how old that guy was, but I feel like he was around my age. So I'm like, dude, stop. And I'm not as scared to block anymore, I've noticed. Like, I didn't want to have to do that in the past with like people that I might have known, but now I'm realizing it's really not that fucking deep because, one, we don't talk. Like 9 times out of 10, I will never talk to them again. So who gives a fuck? And second off, if it's somebody that I've never met before and you're being weird, I will block you so fast and so hard and so like happily. So yeah, I'm happy that I'm doing the things that I love. I can't control everything, so I'm not trying to make it seem like that. And I don't want to get into that kind of mindset. When I tell y'all I have been picky and selective with how I do things lately, very protective of me. And so I'm just trying to navigate things in a better way. But I just wish my following was like actual, we fuck with each other on that type of shit. You're not going to think that my mindset, my unconventional views on things is weird, but like you'll get it. You'll be able to in anything piggyback off of it type shit. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of shit that I want. I don't want you here if you just want to look at me or if you just want to laugh at me. There's a difference between laugh with and laugh at. Like, get the fuck out if that's who you are, please. I beg of you. So yeah, that's that. Have a good day.